Because we're trying to get every quarter out of it.
There's another.
Recording in progress.
I can't give you a hard time running.
Good evening, I'd like to open the November 19th legislative meeting. Everyone please rise. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you everyone for coming. Tonight we are going to start with a public hearing. I'm going to start off with reading the public hearing notice. Notice of public hearing is hereby given that the town board of the town of Fallsburg will conduct a public hearing on Tuesday, November 19, 2024 at 6 p.m. at the Town Hall Meeting Room at 19 Railroad Plaza, South Fallsburg, New York 12779, relative to the Town of Fallsburg Local Law Number 3 of 2024 to propose increases residential and commercial water and sewer rates, and Town of Fallsburg Local Law Number 4 of 2024 increasing rates, providing procedure for future rate changes by resolution. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The public hearing is officially open. Would anyone like to speak tonight regarding this matter?
Alice, did you want to speak?
I was hoping that they would give us some information that I could respond to.
Yeah.
Sure, you know, Ken, if you can give us a,
So what I have tonight, I have conditions that produced the results from last summer, and then I also have projects that we worked on. I don't have any specific rate information that they may want to comment on. So do you want me to go into that now and explain the conditions that led us to run out of water last summer?
sure.
Okay. So in front of you at Pascal, you should be looking at system analysis. It's the first page. And so what I did is I compared 21, 22, 23, and 24. And the first line is average daily demand. So we look at the pumps and how much they pumped, and we can generate an average demand. So you'll see that it's 1,005 gallons per minute from 21, and it goes up, and it's continually gone up a certain percentage every year. So the next line down, the percentage increase from 21 was 13.6%. So the overall system is taking on, as we suspected, and this disproves it, more and more demand on the system. And this is from not only summer residents, but it's also for our year-round residents that are showing a slight increase in the consumption for year-round residents as well. So the next numbers that I wanted to point out, and these are just highlights, and of course I have all the facts to generate this. The DRBC allows us to have a pumping capacity or withdrawal amount of 2,106 gallons per minute. Okay, so it's pretty substantial. This tells us that the aquifer is very strong. What we pump, the pumping rate, which is the next line, is 1,281 gallons per minute. So we are well under what we're allowed to pump with what we're actually pumping. And I'll explain what that means a little bit later in this part of it. So you could see that based on the demand that we have every year in general throughout the year, even in 2024 we had 1,147 gallons per minute demand. We are capable of keeping up with that demand with a pumping rate of 1,281 gallons per minute. Okay? So I took it down a little bit further, and I wanted to see what the demand was in June, July, and August, because up above it's divided about out over 365 days a year. So for June, July, and August, you'll note that it's in the 1700s. And the thing to note here is it's been consistently in the 1700s since 2021, and in fact, 2024, it actually went down from 2023. So I found that very interesting considering this 24, we had a significant problem. We had more demand in 23 and we did not have a problem, right?
Quick question.
Yeah.
Could the days that we had outages in Fallsburg really change these numbers and kind of not make them as accurate because there were days that we weren't pumping?
We were pumping pretty consistently.
Oh, we were pumping, it wasn't getting, okay.
Yeah, and I'll explain that as to what, so, because the next thing is, okay, so this is all happening, how come we had such a problem?
Right, okay.
So the summer increase through from 21 to 24 is 2.6%. So I just wanted to put that in everybody's mind, because we seem to think that we have a tremendous amount of more summer people here, we do, but the demand has not gone up substantially to lead to the entire problem that we're having. So the last line in this system analysis is showing you how much we were short. So we had a 1,747 demand, we pumped 1,281, we took from Lock Sheldrake 200 gallons per minute, leaving us a deficit of 266 gallons per minute. Okay, so that's what happened to us this summer. We were running in this significant deficit, and it's a lot. So contributing to the problems in 24 is the next bold heading. We had problems with the Old Falls tank coming online late and then not functioning properly. Okay, so that was water, oftentimes wasting water off the overflow, and then sometimes not releasing properly as well. And then we had Laurel Ave, we had a leak in Laurel Ave, we had a Route 42 leak, and I talked to the water department, and they estimated those leaks were 200 gallons per minute and 50 gallon per minute leaks. So
Which one was it, 200 gallon?
The Route 42.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So you can see where up here we needed we were at 266 gallon per minute deficit. Part of that deficit, or a good portion of that deficit, was in those leaks. So though that was the major problem that we had this year, in that those leaks dumped our tanks. It was a perfect storm and perfect timing, in that people moved into town, the demand went up, and we had those significant leaks. And we lost the water in the tank. In the previous year, if you look at 23, we had less demand, and we didn't have the problems that we had in 24, because we didn't have those leaks. That's the conclusion, that most of this is happening. We had some other things that are happening too, which I'll explain a little bit later. So we just weren't able, we lost 1,350,000 gallons from the La Vista tanks in a relatively short period of time, and then our system just can't catch up. Once that demand is consistent, we just can't catch it back up. So what are we doing about it? The first thing that is happening, it's in the process right now, we're installing an altitude valve on the Old Falls tank, and that will automatically shut the flow of water off to that tank when it's full, and then it will automatically open when there's a need for that tank to release. We did not have that benefit this summer. It was all done manually, and it was a timing thing, and sometimes the timing was good and sometimes the timing was not good. So we lost water off the top of that tank, and that caused some of our problems. We're working on a new groundwater source over in the La Vista area, and the reason for that is our biggest producing wells are all the way over on the north side of town, and so we're trying to move all that water to the south side of town, and it produces a great amount of pressure. And the more pressure in our older pipes, the more opportunity for them to break. And then also, when we turn our pumps up too high, it blocks the flow from our other wells that are in town, because each pump is capable of pushing water a certain, we call it a head, total dynamic head. And in some cases, our bigger well will overpower the smaller wells, and then the smaller wells are not feeding into the system. So we had that situation happen to us before, where we turned up our bigger well, not realizing that we're not getting water anywhere. We're not even getting out wells 1B, 2, and 3. So a very small amount. So we had an issue with that, trying to figure out how much can we pump from the larger well. I'm talking about number 7 and number 6, without overpowering wells 1B, 2, and 3. So we have a chance to do a new source over in the La Vista area, and I think that's a good opportunity to make sure that those tanks have a more direct route to fill, because that seems to be the problem in that area with that demand. The other option we can do is increase storage in the La Vista area. That's kind of, it might be needed at some point. It's not needed now if we had a better supply. But we also have the Whitaker Road project, which does need a tank, and it would be the same thing as the Westbourne project, where they would pay for the tank and turn it over to the town. There is some controversy with that, I understand. It's more housing, and it's also a different pressure zone, but that would take care of the pressure in the La Vista area as well. The last thing is increase the pipe distribution size. That's a bigger project. It's gonna be a little bit longer to make that happen. So I'm a little concerned, I think we should pursue it, but I'm a little concerned that we shouldn't think that that's the first thing that can happen. It just needs to keep moving forward. I think it's in this order that I feel that that's the priority. The second page that you have, I was asked to put together what has the town done in the last 5 years. That's the top column there. You can see the years that the work was completed. I think the town has not gotten the credit it needed in being proactive with the water. It's unfortunate that that came out this last year, but the town has spent $3.8 million in water improvements over the last 5 years. So it's not like the town has been vacant and not moving forward with the water. We've done what we could with the money we've had. And then the second part, which is an A and a B, you'll recognize the 9 items. They're in the funding grant that we're pursuing right now. It's looking relatively positive. Mike's been involved with that. Most of you are aware of it, and we're hoping that that's going to bring us some money to do some of these other projects. And then under B were additional projects that I've developed since the first 9 came up. There's another additional 6 projects that are there to be considered, each one having different priorities that I've mentioned. So, and I've kept it relatively simple. Obviously, I can answer any of the questions that you may have. I have a lot of detail with me. And if I don't have it, I can get the answer.
Thank you, Ken. Any questions from the board before we open it up to the public? Okay, would anyone from the public like to speak on this matter?
It's a little confusing, but I was under the impression that the water rates were going to go up so we could repair the water and sewer plants. That's our big goal, right? But in the meantime, we've got all these pipes that are breaking all over the place, and they need to be fixed today. And I live near La Vista, off La Vista, so I was quite aware of the problems that we had this summer. And do you guys have a rate that you want to increase this by to take care of all this, in addition to the grant we're supposed to get?
Well, the proposal that's before us is 10% across the board for water and sewer. So whatever the current rate is, forget off the top of my head, it's a 10% increase for each.
I can give it to you.
The board adopted resolution 63 of 2024 that scheduled this public hearing. Base rate for water for in-district would increase to $48.25 for the first 15,000 gallons. $3.26 for each thousand, from there to 2 million, and then 2.08 per million thereafter. And then quarters 3 and 4, that's quarters 1 and 2, quarters 3 and 4 allow an allowance of base of up to 25,000 gallons for the 4825. And then there's another rate for out-of-district users. It also includes an increase of 2% each year unless increased, decreased, or eliminated by the board, subject to a public hearing on 5 days' notice.
So it's 10% off of the current rate structure that there is now.
Yeah, it's roughly 44 to a little over 48 was the rate. And then on sewer, the sewer rate went for 30,000, first 30,000 went to $97.
From 88 and change to $97 per quarter. So
So
sewer,
that's-
water's gonna go up about $4 or $5 per quarter, and sewer's gonna go up about $9 and $8 per quarter.
Okay. And that's for everybody equally?
That's for all rate structures, whether you're using, whether it's industrial rate, whether it's the over the 2 million gallons per quarter rate, it's across the board, 10% across the board.
God bless you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to speak on this.
Yes, please step up.
My name is Todd Monkowski, and I work for the Water Department, and I'm here on my own behalf. I'm not against raising the rates, I'm just against how it's being done. There were a bunch of questions I had about Ken's report. You talked about the water usage not going up and kind of staying the same. Was there any more income coming from that water?
I think the water usage has gone up, it's gone up a percentage each year. So
Right.
from 21 to 24, it went up 13%. So there's gotta be more income coming in because you're charging for more water, the meters
Correct.
are spinning.
Right.
So yes.
So we don't know if it only went up 5% or if it went up 15%. As we discover leaks, we're getting more water paid for because it's going into the system instead of going on the ground.
Correct. As to what that quantity is, no, I don't know what that number is. But you're right, I mean, it's safe to say that as we're repairing leaks and you're fixing meters and understanding where some of that loss is, you're making up that water and charging for what
Right.
wasn't charged for before.
Except for the expense of the repairs itself.
Correct. Which comes out the other side.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I know we've actually lowered the well volumes to prevent the breaks in the summertime, because the pressure was increasing in the water mains.
Correct, yeah.
And,
And that rate that I gave is about the balance that Rob and Bobby found to not increase the pressure over 110 PSI to not
Right.
produce a break.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And sometimes it's unfortunate, we could pump more, there's more in the well field, the
Oh,
pumps
yeah.
are capable of
Yes.
pumping more, but the pipe can't handle it.
yeah.
Correct.
And as a water department, we'd like to see
Correct.
more water in the tanks. We don't like having the fire departments scrounging around for water,
Yeah,
you know, and going home on a Friday night, crossing our fingers, hoping that the
correct,
tanks don't run out.
yeah.
I know in 2023, we had more water main breaks than 2024. So there would have been more loss through the water main breaks in 2023 than in 2024.
Yeah. Yeah, generally, there was more water used, and I should say, when I'm giving these numbers, it's either consumption or loss. Both are together, because I can't
Mhm.
differentiate between the two.
And the altitude valve at the Old Falls tank, that's an automatic way of us turning that tank off and turning that tank on.
Correct.
Every time we turned off that tank, the pressure
Pressure
increased.
builds up,
Right,
yeah.
so if the altitude valve closes, that pressure's gonna build up.
Well, the pressure built up because we were pumping at an aggressive rate, trying to get water to fill the tanks.
Right. And on
So
this
we now
thing.
understand, like the pumps that for number 7 can take on 700 gallons per minute at 400 TDH. right?
Mhm.
We were trying to pump more than that, so that the TDH was so high, it was actually getting stuck in the line, believe it or not. We just couldn't pump it through. So now we know that we can pump that well field at about 798, 800 gallons per minute without increasing the pressure to over 110, even with the tank closed.
Okay,
So that's what happened. That was a little learning curve this summer that we
right.
figured out.
And
And so,
there seemed to be a problem with the altitude valve at the Vista tank also.
yeah, so what we're gonna do, we're putting the altitude back into Old Falls,
Right.
calling the manufacturer, they'll come and calibrate that one. We're gonna have them calibrate the La Vista tank too, because when that tank went really low the first time, it developed an air leak, or it had air in the line.
Right.
And then we were pumping against this air pocket and no water was running into the tank. We didn't realize that until Bobby went up and started messing with the gauges and bled the air out of the line. So another learning curve, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Like I said, I have no issues with upgrading and paying for this, but it's just the way that a 10% increase is pretty stiff on water rates. Because water rates are supposed to pay for the operations and maintenance of a water system. We get capital charges on our property taxes to pay for the infrastructure. So I don't want to be paying for infrastructure through my water rates. You know, it's water rates pay for the chlorine, the KOH, the water, the electricity, all that. It doesn't pay for water mains out on the street.
That's why we're pursuing the grants.
There's a differentiation here between,
I think the
monies.
study from Barton and Judas in 2012 recommended a rate increase of 10% back then, which we didn't do anything with. So we haven't increased the rates
Right.
for years.
I was actually involved with that study.
Right, do you remember that? They were recommending a rate increase then, I think.
Yeah, but that was all just a study theoretical. And rate increases were only supposed to be implemented if your operating costs went up. You know, if the cost of KOH and chlorine go down, there's no reason to increase the
Well, there's more
rates.
operating costs than that. What about employees?
Hmm?
I said, there's more to the expense of operating the system than just materials. It's
Oh, yeah,
also
yeah.
staffing, insurance, you know, all of the.
Yes,
the-
I understand
which
that.
have gone up substantially since.
But I'm talking that there's a difference between the infrastructure
Right.
and
No, it's a good point.
we're paying for water and what it costs to produce that water.
Correct.
You know, upgrading the sewer treatment plant doesn't do anything for sewer costs, it's treating the sewage there that we're paying for. There's two separate costs. And I just don't want costs to go up just because we enact a local law. I know there's probably some wiggle room in there, so that way you don't come up short, but we don't wanna overcharge people, you know, because going up 2% in 5 years, that's another 10%. And if costs haven't gone up that much, there's no reason for us to pay all that extra money. And which brings me into the summer rates, the 25,000 gallons. We're paying the same rate for 15,000 gallons as people are getting 25,000 in the summertime. So we're giving away 20,000 gallons of free water. You know, that's unpaid water. Pure and simple, unpaid. And the cost per 1,000 gallons was supposed to come from the minimum rate divided by the 15,000 gallons. So if you're just doing a 10%, that's not bringing that up enough to cover that cost per 1,000 gallons. The town board hasn't been keeping to that rate, so it's gradually, once you go over the minimum, now you're paying less for water. So, I mean, people that are conserving water, we only use 8,000 or 9,000 gallons a quarter, we're charged for 15. We don't complain about that. That 15 cost, that minimum charge, is what's used to pay the cost for the whole year. That's why everybody's charged that minimum rate. But when you give away 25,000 gallons, an extra 10,000 gallons without any charge, that's free water for somebody, you know?
It's the same for everyone. That rate is universal.
Yes, yes,
Everyone pays the same rate
right.
for residents.
But if you're not here in the summertime, you pay a higher cost during the winter months. So it's not.
It's a blended rate, but it's not giving it away. Everyone's-
is.
Everyone's paying the same rate.
If I'm paying $44 for 15,000 gallons of water, and now I'm paying $44 for 25,000 gallons of water, you're giving away 10,000 gallons. You're not charging for 10,000 gallons of water.
The rate is lower in the summer, correct, effectively per gallon.
Yes, the rate is lower in the summer per gallon,
But every house
per
pays the same
1,000
rate.
gallons. Yes,
It's
everybody.
not, it's not the rate, there's like no
I know everybody
seasonal
pays.
or anything like that.
Right.
Just to make sure the record is clear.
Yeah, yeah. And the other thing is, out-of-district water users. I don't know if you know where their rate comes from? Okay,
Historically, no. I mean, that's being raised 10% as well, but
right.
how it was set originally, I don't have that.
Out-of-district water users are not charged capital charges. They're not taxed on the infrastructure, out-of-district water users. So their rate is higher because we compensate for what they would have been taxed and the minimum charge. So you have to look at what the capital charges are that the out-of-district water users should be paying and add that to the minimum water charge. So, I mean, our taxes go up every year on the capital charges because we're paying for all the improvements. So the out-of-district users need to pay that also. You know, so I just wanted to bring that up, make sure that that was understood, where those rates come from. I guess that's about it. I just, like I said, I'm not against a rate increase or tax increase. I just want it to go to the right place, you know?
So, question for you.
Yes,
So you produce a list of meters that are not working correctly?
yes.
Or what's the process then of getting those fixed? What happens to that list?
Normally I go out and knock on doors and try and get homeowners' attention, leave a note on the door.
Right.
If I don't get a response back after 2 or 3 times, then I have to bring it to code enforcement,
Okay.
where they have to send out a violation letter that if you don't give us access to the meter for a year, then you start getting a surcharge on your bill.
Okay, all right. Now, I was wondering, because I went to Main Street Houses at the road here last Thursday, and we tried to change a meter there, and we couldn't.
Oh, yeah,
So
yes.
I think that one was on the list, and that's how
Yeah.
we found it.
Couldn't because of,
On there, we couldn't get the water turned off,
okay,
because on their end, they had a leaky valve, I think.
Yeah.
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 So
I-
again, that's part of what we're trying to do is not waste or fix what is not being addressed and make sure that the meters are measuring things accurately.
Yes. Yes, you know, as a taxpayer, as a water user, I want to see everybody, their meters working and water being accounted for, because it also affects the state, the usage survey or whatever they do at the end of the year.
Yeah,
That unaccounted for water is pretty high for us.
it is.
I have a lot of responsibilities and I bounce around back and forth, so I don't get out to do these meters as often as I should. You know, I'm supposed to also inspect all the new condo developments and things like that,
Right.
but I keep plugging away at it.
why, there is a substantial amount of meters that need to be addressed?
The list is fairly big, I think.
Yeah, I've been whittling it down. The condo places we allow the caretakers there to remove and install their own meters.
Right,
Okay, everybody else, the town goes, shuts off the water, removes the meter.
correct,
You get caretakers that don't flush the line before they put the meter back in the
Okay.
springtime. And you get grit and stuff that clogs up the meter, so now it doesn't read.
Does it allow the flow still?
Yes, it allows the
But it
flow.
doesn't read it?
The measuring chamber doesn't move anymore.
Okay,
And that drives a magnet that turns the odometer.
right,
So once that chamber stops moving, you're not getting, the reading just stays the same. And our program can't tell us which meters are clogged and which meters there's nobody actually using water. It just gives us a code after 30 days that there's no water usage at this location. So Vacation Village, in the wintertime, I get 400 codes and no water usage
right,
because nobody's there.
right,
And when we have close to 5,000 meters now, I have to sort through
which ones are legit?
which ones are legitimate and
Right,
the best time is the winter time. No usage, go out there, there's tracks in the driveway,
yeah, you
there's
know,
somebody living here.
Right.
No tracks, okay, it's legitimate,
right,
no usage.
okay.
So it's not an easy process.
I'm shocked that there's no method for when a meter is not functioning and not reading usage, that it doesn't somehow shut down.
Yeah, it's an issue that,
You know, you would think that there'd be some way of shutting down the water. There's no reading, there's no water.
Right.
That would be free water.
Right, yeah,
Well,
Exactly.
yeah, it is. And that's why we try and hunt down these places and, I mean, I've got ones that I haven't gotten a response from and that code enforcement will need to.
Can I just, excuse me one moment, we have a policy of 3 minutes.
yeah, this
and-
is,
And you can do whatever you want, but I'm just calling attention to it.
I mean, we're asking,
Yeah, we're
No, I
asking
get,
him
I get what
questions.
you're saying, I get what you're saying, but I'm only
Yeah.
bringing attention to
No,
it.
we're asking him questions.
That's okay.
We're yielding our time.
so I would imagine then there's, you're saying that there's meters that don't spin, the chamber doesn't spin, the odometer doesn't run. I'm sure that means there's also meters that are maybe running at 30%.
Yes.
Because they're not
Yes.
fully clogged, but they're spinning, which
Right.
are even, it's probably even harder to
Yep.
notice and diagnose.
Under the
Which is a big
previous
problem.
utility billing supervisor, she would keep track of each quarter usage for every single person in town.
Right,
So when you saw a discrepancy there, then it was more obvious than just getting a report.
right,
But that was labor intensive, writing down all the
I'm
readings.
shocked there's no software to do that.
Each,
Say, hey, why did this person for the last 4 years use this amount? And
You know, our program does keep a history, the billing program of consumption, but you have to physically go in and look at it.
Right,
So that doesn't,
yeah,
I mean,
right,
I've tried to come up with things and
yeah.
to whittle this down and make it easier.
It was never explained to me like this is very interesting.
Yeah, it is. Thank you.
Any other questions? You know where I'm at during the day.
Thank
You
you,
can
Todd.
contact me.
Thank you, Todd.
Yep.
Would anyone else like to speak tonight? All right, then I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The public hearing is closed. Now we'll move on to our regular meeting. I'll let you mention it during correspondence. All right, I don't have a supervisor's report tonight, so I'll move on to correspondence. Paula, do you have any correspondence for tonight? All right, Miranda did want to mention something.
I was at the food pantry in Hurleyville today, and they're looking for donations of toiletries for people, because that's something that the food bank doesn't give, and there's still a need.
Toiletries specifically?
Toiletries, yes. They'll take anything.
Thank you. All right, so then let's go ahead and move on to public comments. Anyone would like to speak on the agenda that we have tonight? No, anyone online?
No.
Okay, alright, so then we're gonna go ahead and close the public portion, and we will move on to our agenda items. Alright, first few are pretty straightforward. Number one, motion to approve town board minutes dated 11/5/2024.
Motion.
I have a
Second.
motion and a second, all in favor? Aye, motion passes. Number two, motion to approve town board minutes dated 11/12/2024.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Number three, motion to approve warrant number 11A24 dated 11/13/24 in the amount of $269,960.71.
Motion.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye, motion passes. Number four, motion to approve payroll warrant dated 10/23/24 in the amount of $322,212.67.
Motion.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Number five, motion to approve payroll warrant dated 11/6/24 in the amount of $323,151.49.
Motion.
I have a motion,
Second.
and I have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Number six, motion to approve a salary increase for Michael Pinella in the code enforcement office to $82,500, effective 11/11/2024.
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Number seven, this has to do with the recent request for proposals for sand that went out. We did make our determination, we basically went on the lowest.
Bids, yeah, it was bid, solicitation.
It was bid.
Bids.
It wasn't a request for proposals, it was bid submissions for a commodity, specifically for road sand. So we awarded it to three companies, Sand and Gravel LLC, Woodburn Lawn and Garden, and GLS Industries LLC. So number seven, motion to award bid for ice control material sand, delivered and non-delivered. Contract period, non-delivered is January 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2025, and delivered January 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2025 to 209 Sand and Gravel LLC, Woodburn Lawn and Garden Incorporated, and GLS Industries LLC. Do I have a-
Motion.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Number eight, so typically, our highway department will plow town roads, the county is responsible for county roads, the state for state roads. However, it's been a long-standing practice that, since our trucks are already on the road, and have to traverse the county roads anyway, that the county plows that the town plows, certain segments of the county road, and effectively the county will pay the town, an appropriate portion of the what's the name of the monies from the state, the state aid that usually, the CHIPS funding,
CHIPS.
that usually comes in from the state, to be able to cover this. So the county does pay the town a certain amount based on what they get from the state in order for the town to plow the roads that are considered county roads. So number eight, resolution to approve an agreement with the town of Fallsburg and the county of Sullivan for snow control for the town to undertake and perform snow and ice control on county roads located in the town for the period of 7/1/24 and ending 6/30/27, and any extensions thereof duly authorized as provided in such contract at the rates therein provided. Number 73 of 2024.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye, motion passes. Number nine, these are fairly common, this is where a developer will create a new development or some houses on a new road, or develop a new road, and with the approval of the county real property tax services department, will come up with a name, and I guess real property will town their recommendation for a name of a road, once to be given over as a public road. So these names were, I assume, came up by the developer and approved by the county, and now has to be formally approved by the town as well. So, number 9, resolution to approve new road name of Ali Purdy Way located at SBL 16-1-30, and 31 and 33, as approved by Sullivan County Real Property Tax Services, number 74 of 24.
Motion.
I have a
Second.
motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. So this one, I don't know if you wanna explain this one.
This is a
Richard?
tax certiorari settlement. We have long-standing tax certiorari's that are pending with regard to Vacation Village. There are many, many, many units. Most of the other units have already been settled up. These settlements are developed with the assessor and the town attorney, Dylan Harris, who handles our certioraries. And this is a resolution recommending to the board a settlement of these matters for 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023. And it authorizes Dylan Harris as special counsel for Fallsburg to sign the stipulation.
Okay, all right, so number 10, resolution authorizing settlement of a proceeding instituted under Article 7 of the Real Property Tax Law against the town of Fallsburg, number 75 of 2024.
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second.
We'll say that was Jeff and me.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Number 11, so this has to do with a grant, I believe it was a grant of up to $75,000 to be able to digitize our records in the building department.
No.
Town clerk's office.
Oh, this was yours, town clerks? So this was a grant to digitize records in the town clerk's department. We didn't end up using the full 75,000, it was like.
It's
No,
not-
no, that was
Nothing to do
last
with
year's,
that.
this is a new one for her.
This is a new grant.
Yes.
Even better. All right, so number 11, resolution of the town of Fallsburg for data imaging and indexing of records grant, number 76 of 2024.
Motion.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Okay, similar to the one before, this is also a new road name. Resolution, number 12, resolution to approve new road name of Flamingo Drive and Sparrow Lane located at SBL 21-1-4.1, as approved by Sullivan County Real Property Tax Services, 77 of 2024.
I couldn't find that tax map number. I don't know if.
21-1,
Yes.
It's new.
4.1, it's a new one?
Yeah.
Okay, because I had a map and,
it was
So-
probably
so-
just created then, right?
okay.
Okay.
Motion.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. All right, at this point, I will entertain a motion to enter an executive session or to
Motion.
adjourn.
Motion.
Motion to enter executive session for
We'll give it another.
personnel.
Personnel matters.
Executive session, Rich, tonight.
Wait, there was one more thing, the keys to the city, did you want to
No,
talk?
that's private, that's an executive session, isn't it?
You can make a motion here.
I could add to something too. Nobody mentioned the swim thing that was nice the other day for the Parks Department.
Oh, the grant, the youth grant.
Yeah, the youth grant.
Oh, the Cartwright trip?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
That would have been.
Go ahead, do you wanna say
No.
something?
yeah, so the Sullivan County Youth Bureau did give the town a grant to help pay for a trip to Cartwright for our youth, and I believe that did occur this past week. And I saw the pictures, it looks like we had about a dozen or
It
so.
was about 25,000.
Yeah.
They weren't all in the
Nice.
pictures.
Yeah, no.
Nice.
It's-
Yeah,
I think 30 probably. so.
30.
it looked like everyone had a really good time.
Yeah,
That's
they had
good.
fun.
Yep.
Okay.
And, I mean,
You wanna do the key this?
yeah, let's do keys,
Yeah.
so, we are looking to bring back the Keys to the Town program, and, we're looking to make an initial purchase of 10 keys, roughly the cost of just under $400, which would require board approval prior. So I would entertain a
I
motion
make a
to
motion.
make the purchase. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. All right, so now we can go ahead and procure those keys and find some good deserving citizens of our town to present them to. All right, so going back to executive session, I will entertain a motion to enter an executive session for personnel
One
matters.
personnel item in the executive.
Motion.
I have a motion, do I have a second to enter?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. We do not anticipate any further business after executive session. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight, and we are adjourned.
Can I,
I gotta quit talking to you, Richard, you get in trouble.
Good night, Alice.